talking about the fact that probably there's a whole new generation that will start listening to your music through this record. How do you relate with that? I mean, it's just something. It's just part of a process, like generation that changes, or you feel like they need to know a little bit more of you. To
I just think that it's almost like a conveyor belt, or shark's teeth or whatever. They always go back. The people who are our age are now getting to the back of the audience, and new younger people are coming to the front, and then gradually going back. And it's weird because they're the same age as they were when we were 20 odd, and if they're into music, they're going to bump into Blur at some point. And some people have it all in an avalanche of this stuff. By going onto the internet, they can get Blur and Related. And Related to Blur is an awful lot, as you can imagine, in music. And where we come from along that lineage, back from whatever, the Kinks, the Beatles, and whatever, these groups that our parents were into, or whatever, in record collections when we were a kid. And when you become first aware, I don't know, when you're 7 or 8, of chart music and what music is and how it makes you feel right the way through your teenage, then I suppose Blur is going to be something that if you're into British music, then they're going to like it, and they, aren't they?
That's part of the reason, I guess, we felt compelled to make a new record, because we were doing shows around the world, places where we'd never been, and just like seeing that the music was reaching new audiences. So it was encouraging.
But it's strange the way that new generation discover music, like you said, with digital music like Spotify and Deezer. You can have the whole history of the band sweeping from one record to another. This is way different from the way you and also me discover music, like record by record, like passing from your brothers and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't discover music anymore. I only discovered music when it was in LP form. I don't use digital technology at all.
Don't you?
Of course. I'm still discovering it in the same way as 19-year-olds are now. I mean, I can use that same technology to discover a huge amount of music and whatever. But we did start in a little bit of a more primitive world, where we had to save up or get record tokens and then go on a bus to town and go to a record shop and, sorry, I ain't got it in stock, mate. And then you have to go to another one, and you're getting more and more desperate to get this LP that you've saved up.
To go to more than one record shop.
There was only a few you could do. So yeah, I mean, it is. But then you were taking home an LP, and it didn't sound that good actually on my record player. But they usually sounded pretty good. Now you're downloading, and downloads have caught up CD sales, etc. They're pretty much 50-50, aren't they?
Yeah, but
so it's.
You can't compare the experience of somebody discovering a record now. So, as I say, we had to go on the bus into town, find it, and then we'd have the bus journey home, looking at it, absorbing every little detail that had been invested into it by the artists. It's very different now. It's very, very different.
I remember that a very important moment was when you were opening the booklet and read the bands that they were thanked by the main artist to discover new music, and probably they were not that similar, but they were just friends, and you don't have any chance to pre-listen the record, and you buy blinded, and I bought a lot of crappy stuff on that.
Yeah, well, that's part of, it's good. It's good. Yeah, I think kids buy a lot more crap these days because they sort of go on searches, and I don't know. As long as you get there in the end, it doesn't matter, does it? Really.
You've been so important, and you're still so important for British music. But what's your relationship with your own country, your own city, and your own government?
I hate it.
That's your final answer, right? I mean,
it's so nice to be in Milan. I went out last night, had a really good time, and it kind of coming here sort of reminds me of how differently my life might have turned out. Actually, that's the nice thing. Actually, the nicest thing about being back in the band is like showing it's just.
Been able to go out.
Yeah.
That's the thing about being in the band for Ali. He's been able to go out.
And especially yesterday was a very important day in Italy history.
Yes, it was.
What's your definition of freedom?
Oh,
Being able
my
to have a nap in the afternoon.
Yeah. Yeah, the siesta. I mean, I don't know how any society could give that away once you've been given the right to go to sleep in the afternoon. How could you ever give that away?
Probably in Mexico, it's easier than in London to have a nap in the afternoon.
We never had a culture of sleeping in the afternoon. But the point is, you had a culture of having a siesta. Spain and all Mediterranean countries have, and I just don't know how you've given that away. You're mad. You had it. You had huge lunch breaks and then a sleep, and you've given it away. Why did you do that? You're mad.
Freedom's just the ability to say no, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it's true.
It's very difficult to balance words like freedom and peace, I guess. Peace is
It's between freedom and responsibility, isn't it? I mean, that's what freedom actually is, the ability to take responsibility. Peace and freedom don't necessarily coexist, do they, as we're seeing in the Middle East?
Yeah.
There's not necessarily ever a balance there.
You're gonna have upcoming shows, amazing upcoming shows, and you're gonna get back to Hyde Park. What's the feeling each and every time you go there?
London, Milan, Paris, New York, Wolverhampton. I'm excited about that. That's the next run of shows, isn't it? I think it's just brilliant to be playing music everywhere, going out again.
Going out in different city with different cultures and different people and different governments and everything is different. You think that music is still a way to get people together and
Bridge all of that experience. Bridge all of that experience. Yeah, I mean, clearly it's a precious commodity which we diminish at our own peril.
because I always thought that in countries like Italy and England, there are something like soccer that it's very useful to make people not to think about everyday
Yeah,
problem.
sure.
I think music, it's a more conscious way to forget about those problems, but think about
No,
something.
it used to kind of help people deal with those problems. With it used to.
Well, oh God, this is a really big subject. I mean, there was a time when music could only be really sort of experienced either in the home or in public or in church. I mean, at one point, the only place you could really hear music was either sort of at home or in churches, and then the idea of the concert didn't really even come into sort of being until the 18th century. And then in the 19th century, music hall brought the idea of the working class being able to have a place to go and have entertainment. And then that evolved into radio, where people would gather around a radio to listen to music. And then television came along, and then festivals came along. And it's just sort of broadened out so massively. But now it's become, the amount of festivals there are now is sort of from when we started out there, there'd be like 2 festivals in the country. Now on any given day during the summer months, there's thousands of festivals around Europe. So is that a positive thing or a negative thing? Probably a positive thing, but very different. That you don't have that sort of thing. When we were kids, you watched the one program where chart music was manifest visually, Top of the Pops. The next morning you went in, you talked, you were excited about what you'd seen. That doesn't exist anymore. So that's a bad thing that doesn't exist, because that sense of people, young people finding like minds through an experience, it's there, but it's different. You can't really you can't really conclude any question about where we are. You can only see it from distance, and we're in the middle of the internet. We have no distance from it yet, so impossible to see what it's doing to us.
Possibly I'll see you soon live, and that's gonna be my first step to be conscious
Okay.
on what we talk about.
Good.
So thank you for your time. It's been a pleasure. Take care with yourself and the rest
Nice.
of.
Thank you.
Very much.